Well, now, this is a very thorny issue that needs to be addressed as soon as possible. These lending apps are actually putting Kenyans' lives as far as the finance is concerned onto the edge. This is type of the examples of the text that I usually receive in hundreds of them in a typical day. Let me just read you a text here for you to understand exactly what I'm talking about. Hello there, Joseph. I love what you're doing here on social media. And guess what? I'm actually in a very big problem. I've actually borrowed money from more than 10 lending apps, and the situation that I am in right now is that I usually borrow from one app to the next to repay the previous one. Where I am, I cannot even actually enjoy my salary, and I'm actually in a very great depression, and I do not know what to do. Please help. This is emergency. Now, that is exactly type of text that I usually receive each and every day, to a point whereby I've decided now, guess what? I'm going to make a video about this so that I put this message across there for the necessary steps to be taken, either from an individual level as we Kenyans or from the government point of view, for us to be in a situation whereby we're able to understand. And guess what? I'm going to also offer solutions on what exactly you should do out there, because I understand Kenya is a capitalist country and everyone has the right to actually invest in whichever the business they would love to invest to, and it's also your mandate to make sure that as well you have the financial literacy to know exactly what the money works and how to go about it. Now, this is the problem that we have in this country. We understand, and not only in Kenya but globally, we have what we call the financial crisis, or what we call sort of economical crisis and something of sort. A lot of people are complaining that, hey, economy is not doing well, and they're actually straining. They're doing what we call the arm and length to make sure that they put food on their table. So if they can get any leeway, any loophole should I call it, where they can be able to borrow money to sustain what exactly they do out there, they would rather go for it and do exactly that. So my question is this: these people are actually getting these opportunities to borrow money, but what they do not have is what we call the financial take through, the financial literacy, the financial understanding what you're supposed to do with the loan. Remember one thing, back then these lending apps were not there. The only way we usually used to have kitambo, or back then, is only the circles or the banks that were issuing loans. But there were some procedures that they were following. They used to guide you, to explain to you, hey, you know what, you're taking a loan. This is not what a loan should do. This is not what it should do, all those kind of things. They were actually giving you information or where you're supposed to do or what you're supposed to do with your money, because they knew one thing. At the end of the day, if you do not manage to actually make money out of the money that you're giving you as a loan, also we who are the lenders, we are still on the risk. But now the problem is this: these loaning apps or this lending app, they never offer that information. They don't even care. Fine, I know they ask you in between before you get the loan what you want to use to. And you know very well deep inside, if you tell them you want to cater for the basic needs, obviously you might qualify, you might not qualify for that loan. So what you do, you lie about that specific thing. There is no platform whereby they actually give a substantive information that, hey, you know what, there's some of the risks that are engaged or involved with you doing this or the other. So anyway, we understand and we appreciate them. They are there to make money. So where are you? And I always tell you in this channel of mine that at the end of the day, make sure that you put your mouth where your money is. Now, this is the point. This money is actually available there. People can actually pick it. People can actually take that money, go and do the things. And this is the mistake that the Kenyans are doing. You go grab that money, you go buy the consumables. What are the examples of the consumables? You go buy your maize flour, the wheat flour, you pay your rent, you pay all those kind of things that do not actually generate your income. And let me just give you an example of how they're actually ruining their life. Very simple. You find somebody maybe is earning like 60,000 at the end of the month. This individual has actually borrowed to a point whereby they cannot even sustain their own lives. What do? They actually go there, borrow that money. Once they borrow that money to actually sustain them with that typical end of the month, once they get that that salary, they take that salary, they pay the entire loan. Now they cannot be able to survive because they have actually paid the loan. What do? They borrow again. Then, and you know one thing, this loan is actually coming with an interest, and this interest is quite high. Right? So they actually get themselves in that cycles and cycles and cycles. And those guys, can you imagine this? They happen to watch my videos and I talk about saving. I talk about investing. This is how you can create wealth. Now, what do you think will happen? They actually see, wow, that's very true, but they do not have something that they can invest on. So what do you think they will do? They will turn to other ways of actually borrowing money, because they've actually exhausted their conventional way of earning. So they turn back to getting more apps to borrow more money, and in the the process, they invest on the areas that are not actually advisable, then what happens is that they lose the money and they are actually needed to be paid to repay back their money from that given app. And remember, the very first initial basket is actually exhausted, it's not out of call. Then what do you think they do? They install another app, and that's kind of a thing. And this is where it is getting. You find these people are actually borrowing, and they're actually putting all their data information out there. Number one of the requirements is that you have to give them access to your phone book. Number two, you have to give them access to your calls, to your text, to all those kind of things, to a point whereby even your privacy is actually ruined. Because most of the people, when actually borrowing this money, they don't even read those privacy or those what you call the terms and conditions. So to a point whereby people are actually being called. Some of your guys are your workmates, some of them are your friends, some of them are your neighbors, and all those kind of things. To a point whereby they have actually put an egg on your face. Whenever you're walking out there, everybody knows that you have a debt, you have a loan somewhere that you ought to be paying. Some of them do not even understand that it's not your will that you gave out their contact, but these companies just call them. Some of them actually turn wild to you. So this not only affects your financial life, but as well affects your social life. And this is actually a crisis that you are in. And let me tell you one secret. From where I am, because I usually open doors for the people to come to me and consult about finance and all those kind of things. Because I did decide to go out there and actually offer these services to the common wananchi and whichever the class that you are out there. The type of the text and call that I receive from these guys are actually astonishing. They're telling me, hey, you know what, Joseph, what exactly, do you know what, there was a time, sometimes I received or I got a client on board. He or they were so much pressed to a point whereby we were contemplating of them selling their house appliances because, hey, guess what? We tried to look for all the alternatives, all the options lying out there for them to actually get themselves out of the debt. And the only option that was actually remaining is to resell the home appliances, talk of the couches, the TV, the dispensers, all those kind of things, because you are the corner. You have no option. And guess what? The auctioneers are on the doorstep. And once they show up, guess what happens? They devalue all your products. They get them. They actually get them at a way low price. So instead of them coming on board, getting all those things, so why wouldn't you sell them to a better price than repay them? That's the reality. They would rather even show up and then you find they have nothing in your house, rather than them showing up, pick all your valuables and sell them at a throwaway price just because they just wanted to repay themselves. And guess what? This is a very, very weird thing. It's a real thing. It's happening out there. Yeah, I know what you may argue from the comment section. Yeah, you know what, Joseph, we actually do that because we do not understand, or rather, we do that because, hey, we do not have money, we have families, and we have all those kind of things. That's the reality. And I always advise people, if you can manage to get 5,000 from that given app, I would advise you go there, buy vegetables, sell them from your doorstep, sell them from your place that you live. You should even hook them rather than get that money, buy maize flour, buy whatever you're gonna buy, and then at the end of the day you get yourself into crisis. Because let me just tell you what, let me just explain to you what is a loan. You see, when you tell somebody, lend me this money, whether it's an individual or an institution, and then I'm gonna pay you next week on Wednesday, you see what you're telling them? You're telling them that everything will be okay from today to Wednesday, and I can actually anticipate that before Wednesday I'll get something that I will do, then I'll earn money, then I'll pay you back. It's like you're consuming the future you. Number one, there are some of the variables that you've remained constant. You'll be healthy, you'll be okay, there will be a job, and you'll do that job, and you'll be paid, and you give them back money. Can you imagine that? If that one variable there is actually divested, or something happens in between that time that you borrowed and the promised time, you can just imagine that. So you really have to do something. And guess what? You actually don't pay back the amount that you're paid. You pay back that amount, and again on top of that, you have to pay an interest, because these guys, they're in business. And that's why I said Kenya is a capitalist country, and everyone has the right to invest in whichever the area. I'm not saying that they are bad. The point what I'm driving here is that you who is being given this money, you have to have the knowledge, you have to have the understanding that is required for you to actually exercise all the powers within you as far as the finance is concerned, to actually understand, hey, this is a loan, this is a debt that I've been given. I have to direct or channel this amount of money somewhere that can actually earn me something, so that at least I can be able to repay back, because that is the very basic principles of investments. Sometimes back, somebody asked me, would you prefer to be at zero money, or would you prefer to be at negative money? And that's a question that you really need to ask yourself. But sometimes you find yourself, hey, you have the option of being at zero money, but here you have children, here you have kids, here you have a family to support. Honestly, there's no way you can ignore an app that can give you 3,000, that can buy you maize flour for today, and say you'd rather even be in a negative money rather than being at zero money. That's the reality and that's life. But that does not substitute it with you getting the information on how to actually manage and handle money given as a loan for the purposes of not getting yourself into a situation, into a complications, into a point whereby you can even say, hey, I'm even contemplating some of the things that we cannot even mention in this channel. So the point of this, guys, I understand people are making money out there, and they're making money out of you. And if they're making money out of you, you also need to be very smart. Don't borrow Peter to pay John. That is exactly what you don't do. Because if you do exactly that, you're just prolonging the inevitable. It will come to a point whereby all of them realize what you're doing, and they're going to show up to your doorstep. Then going to get yourself into more problems, more challenges that you are more than you are in right now. So anyway, guys, make sure that you grab my number from the description of this specific video. Perhaps if you're out there, you're in need of what we call the financial consultation, financial literacy knowledge, financial take through, I offer those services at a cup of coffee's price. Or if you're out there and you'd like to as well get the information from a booklet, I do have it, and a copy it's only 280. Option 2, I have booklets about investments, on what you can invest on, what areas you can be able to put money, as low as 100 bob. Pick that book, and I always tell people that knowledge is power, and let's learn to appreciate knowledge. For now, it's a goodbye and see you in the next one. But don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and by the way, I always post a video each and every day. So for now, it's a goodbye and see you in the next one.